Good evening. Many thanks for joining us on Nationwide. Today, we're reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguele. Let's begin with the latest update on COVID-19. 86 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported in Nigeria. The latest figures are 70 in Lagos, 7 in FCT, 3 in Katsina, 3 in Akwa Ibom, 1 each in Jigawa, Bauchi and Borno states. As at 11:50 p.m. 19th April 2020, there are 627 confirmed cases of coronavirus in Nigeria. Meanwhile, 170 have been discharged, and so far 21 people have died from the virus in Nigeria. In other news, after 3 weeks of being quarantined, the chairman of the Board of Management of the University College Hospital Ibadan, Shetima Ibrahim Bako Bagudu, has tested negative to the coronavirus. 2 tests were carried out on him and both returned negative. Now with this, he has a clean bill of health. And in a statement by the public relations officer of the University College Hospital, Toye Akinrilola, the chairman, Alhaji Shetima, has urged Nigerians to observe the guidelines laid down by the World Health Organization and the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. He thanked the UCH community for their support and encouragement during the trying period. Let's look at food security in the face of COVID-19. Federal government has constituted an interministerial committee with a mandate of ensuring food production and supply during the lockdown period. Musa Baba Aliyu has an update on that.
Value chains, and also to help in generating momentum for post-COVID-19 recovery plan of the government, with agriculture providing the main thrust for achieving growth, diversification, and domestic job creation.
All right, we'll bring you the full package of that report in our subsequent bulletin. But let's look at more issues on COVID-19. Aviation Minister Senator Hadi Abubakar Sirika has donated 12 million naira to the less privileged people in Daura to reduce the effect of lockdown from the area as a result of coronavirus pandemic. Shehu Adamu reports that the donation is targeted towards orphans, people with special needs and women. The distribution will be beneficiaries from 11 wards of Daura local government area of Katsina State. Well, if not for God, the story of Nigeria would have been different as coronavirus ravages the world. Chairman Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, said this during the donation of medical consumables to the task force by Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion. Adebola Brooksland Sunday has that report.
Oh God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. This song tells the mood of the meeting and that of the nation at the moment. The leader of the delegation, Archbishop Metropolitan and Primate of All Nigeria Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, who appreciated the work being done by the task force, said the church cannot but identify with the committee.
And we are here with the medical consumables, about 10 million naira worth, to identify and stand with those who are in the front line of this battle.
There can be a better demonstration of our Christian faith more than being our brother's keepers at this particular moment. Thank you so much, sir.
It is expected that this donation will go a long way in helping the task force in its efforts towards containing the virus, even as the world battles for a solution. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Many thanks, Adebola. Let's go on our first break. We'll be back shortly, so you stay tuned.
Fellow Nigerians, follow the instructions on social distancing. The irresponsibility of the few can lead to the death of many. Your freedom ends where other people's rights begin. The security agencies have risen to the challenges posed by this unprecedented situation with gallantry, and I commend them. I urge them to continue to maintain utmost vigilance, firmness, as well as restraint in enforcing the restriction orders while not neglecting statutory security responsibilities.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, in view of the COVID-19 pandemic we are currently challenged with, we at Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society enjoin all Muslims to adhere strictly to government directives geared towards stopping the spread of the virus. These measures include the stay-at-home order, washing of hands with soap and water, using hand sanitizers where water is not available, and other hygiene measures. We remind you all of the words of Allah in the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 195, which says, "And do not throw yourselves with your own hands into destruction." We also remind you of the hadith of the noble Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, which says, "Do not cause harm or return harm." Please stay at home and stay safe with continuous dua. This message is from Project Eat Fine of Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society. Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society, from Allah to you, a light.
James, I don't know, you need to answer your call. This. Hello?
Is this Mr. Peter? I'm calling from the NCDC. Your friend, Mr. James Okripocha, was brought in this morning and tested positive for the coronavirus. He mentioned that he had been in close contact with you.
God forbid bad thing.
Sir, I am not saying that you have the virus, but you have spent some time with him over the past 14 days, and it is better if you self-isolate immediately.
I don't know any James at all. Even only James in the Bible that I know as a good Christian.
Sir, he showed us pictures.
Now, wow. If you have come in contact with someone who has tested positive for the coronavirus, self-isolating is key to protecting those around you. Remember, viruses don't move, people do. Stopping the spread is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Wetin be this coronavirus thing? Now, true?
You see this coronavirus will be COVID-19. Now the whole world palava. And it don't they kill many people for China, Italy, UK, US, Spain, and even for other countries them.
Okay, wetin come be the reason why they say make everybody tanda for house?
Now because if they waka pium go carry them from person we don't get them, you go carry come give your family them. Now so the thing take they kill other people for other countries.
Okay, wetin come be that social distancing self?
You see social distance. Now make we no come close because this thing now from air and touch now with the contact. We suppose stay at least 6 foot away from each other every time.
So okay, no be only to wash your hand and to sanitize them alone.
Make we not take this washing of hand thing take play, but make we come together, join hand as we take pursue Ebola, pursue this coronavirus. Make we be each other be keepers now.
Right, many thanks for staying with us. Now, we called a report earlier informing you that the federal government has, instituted an interministerial committee to look at food production and supply. Let's join Musa Baba Aliyu to give us an update, who is already standing by. Musa?
The interministerial committee was constituted with a view to looking at issues affecting food security and agricultural activities during the lockdown, not only in Abuja, Lagos and Ogun State, but the entire country. The committee consists of Minister of Agriculture Mahmoud Sabananono, that of Defense Bashir Magashi, that of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, and that of Police Affairs Maigari Dingyadi, and Commandant of the Nigeria Civil Defense. Mahmoud Sabananono, Minister of Agriculture, read a communique after a closed-door meeting.
After thorough deliberations, the meeting resolved as follows. agreed that security agencies, officials at state and the federal level should work within the framework of the federal COVID-19 emergency action response plan with relevant laws enforcement agencies to develop modalities of ensuring easy movement of foodstuff and livestock. 2. Agreed that the relevant security agencies to work in a coordinated way with clear instruction and directives to law enforcement agents at the various checkpoints to facilitate the passage of vehicles conveying foodstuff, perishable farm products, and livestock without compromising national security or health measures. Agreed that law enforcement agents to liaise with local governments and the state with officials in determining modalities for facilitating the movement of foodstuff and from markets during the 4. Agreed that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and law enforcement agents under the guidance of the 4 ministers set up joint technical task team to draw guidelines for ensuring the safe operation of farmers' grains market, livestock and poultry market, dealers and sellers of agricultural input during the COVID-19 crisis.
The meeting agreed that drug abuse and movement of ammunition will not be tolerated.
Agreed that this opportunity should not be used to transport contraband items including illicit drugs, arms and ammunition. Agreed that the 4 ministers to convene a periodic review meeting to assess the situation and advise the chairman of Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Agreed that the resolution of this meeting will in turn be communicated to the chairman, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, chairman of Governors Forum and the chairman of ALGON for information and further action.
In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Many thanks, Musa, for that update. Now, if you recall, over the weekend, Jigawa recorded its first index case of coronavirus. Now, joining me live via Skype from Duse is the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Abba Zakari Umar, to shed more light on the issue on ground, talking about Jigawa State. Dr. Umar, thank you very much for joining us. Now, what can you tell us about the present situation in Jigawa State regarding the case of the index case of coronavirus in the state? Okay, we seem to be having a bit of a challenge with the audio there, but we'll definitely hook up with Dr. Abba Umar again if we can fix that. But let's join Michael in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Michael?
Thank you, Ruth. It is quite unusual to see Lagos roads deserted, but that is the reality. The question now is, what then are the responsibilities of traffic managers in Lagos since the roads are empty? Correspondents sought for answers and gathered that out of the more than 4,000 vehicles stopped and checked during the lockdown period, 31 were impounded and booked by the Lagos State Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC. The difference is clear and an unimaginable reality that Lagos could be so quiet with the blaring of horns totally absent. On a normal day, it takes more than 2 hours to travel from here in Iyanoworo to Ikorodu, one of the remote localities in Lagos. But now, the journey can be completed in less than 40 minutes because the motoring public is obeying the lockdown directive.
Currently as it is now, going to the island on a normal day takes me 1 hour plus, say 2 hours. But now, just 20-30 minutes, I'm already where I am.
Now that the roads are virtually empty, what then are the traffic managers doing during this lockdown?
We advise, it's highly recommended that you be on a face mask like you and I now. It's also we educate motorists on the need to even have their personal sanitizers like this, and also on the need to wash their hand regularly.
This is a new approach to traffic management caused by the coronavirus, but the Federal Road Safety Corps is complementing monitoring with enforcement.
The whole essence of people should stay at home is for us to break the chain of the transmission. So if you now come and overload your vehicle, whether you are on the exempted list or not, that attracts sanctions and citation from us. And looking in terms of the violators, we impounded about 31 vehicles, and booked them. Those ones were impounded and booked.
The disappearance of busmen and passengers from this terminal is one of the glaring proofs of how the lockdown has affected socio-economic life. But Lagosians hope for a quick end to the coronavirus so that hustling that defines Lagos can return. Most residents of Ogombo community in the suburb of Lagos metropolis are not complying with the lockdown instituted by the federal government to curb the spread of coronavirus. Dr. Ogunyemi, who was in the area, reports on their activities.
Ogombo is one of the communities under Etiosa local government area, and according to the State Ministry of Health, this is the local government area with the highest number of persons infected with coronavirus. How then have residents of this community been able to keep themselves safe using precautionary measures that have been well laid out, especially with the fact that transmission of the disease has moved to community transmission?
I'm still begging. Let them just provide nose cover and everything. That's somebody when you went to site, you'll be using your hand, your this thing to wash hand, and you'll be using your nose cover. And from there, you'll be going to your work.
Grace, a shop owner in the community, has however remained committed to obeying laid-down preventive measures.
Since I know that it affects my health, not just my but my family and anybody that come in contact with me, I have my hand glove, as you can see. I have my mask and also have my sanitizer in my bag. And also some of the customers that come, I do have them ask them to put it on their hand before they come inside. And I don't even allow them to come inside. I close my protector. What you want to buy, I can give it to you.
The chairman of the Community Development Association says they have embarked on massive sensitization despite the financial challenges.
Since that time now, we have never prayed any Jemot. Except if you want to pray for 1 month, we will scatter ourselves. If you want to pray now, if you don't be passing 20, you will say, okay, you stop at outside, let this don't finish before another people coming.
For communities such as this, watchers believe that there is a need for continuous sensitization in Lagos. Dr. Ogunyemi, NTA News.
Those are the stories from Lagos. The news continues with Ruth in Abuja.
Many thanks, Michael. All right. More on COVID-19, the need for knowledge-based policing to proactively tackle potential security threats and civil unrest from the COVID-19 lockdown and beyond has again been re-echoed on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. Security experts are unanimous that to get policing right, strategic policing through continuous SWOT analysis to identify weaknesses and strengths of the police to deal with emerging crimes is crucial at this time. Lydia Sampson reports.
The lockdown continues. Some criminals are taking advantage of the vulnerability of the situation to perpetrate physical and online crimes. Security expert says the trend could be addressed with proactive policing. To this effect, they suggested the need for the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to have a security subcommittee.
Now, what did we do to be ahead of these ranks and make sure they didn't do what they did? So I think there was a gap there. The second component is how did we also engage the public to sensitize them of the possibility of this type of crime incident. So speaking about cyber crime, what has happened is there has been a lifestyle change, and unfortunately I think some of us are yet to accept that this COVID-19 situation and the lockdown has created a complete lifestyle change. The usage of cyberspace has increased tremendously. Before the lockdown, I was using a particular provider and it was functional.
perhaps once or twice a week in this period of lockdown. And going forward, you have the AIG, the DIG operations or AIG operations coming to talk about everything that is going on as far as crime and security is concerned. People are able to ask questions. Those inputs, those will help to begin to bring about a change.
They called for more collaboration and synergy among security agencies, as well as more engagement with critical stakeholders in the public and private sectors to curtail identified threats.
Quite a number of people are still living in a state of denial as far as the issue of COVID-19 is concerned. But while we still suggest that the lockdown continues, governments across board have to do the best they can to ensure that the palliatives being distributed gets actually to the vulnerable members of the larger society. Because hunger to some extent can be more dangerous to COVID-19.
Somebody who is not criminally inclined, no matter how hungry they are not going to go and rob the next person. A very strategic police agency, as it were. We need to do some kind of a balanced scorecard for our police agency and explore all kinds of strategic themes.
The guests called on the public to also be vigilant, as well as intimate security agencies of potential crimes in their vicinity to avoid cult and community violence during the lockdown and beyond. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Let's join Ogochukwuka in Benin to bring us more reports on nationwide, and I'm sure all has to do with COVID-19. Ogochukwuka.
Good afternoon. Edo citizens say they are comfortable with the dusk to dawn curfew imposed by government as part of measures to contain the spread of coronavirus and check criminal activities. This is as government rolled out measures to strengthen the existing ones. Naini reports.
And the advance is very good because made a fair observe.
Very important for every citizen so that we should not allow the virus to spread. The government are doing the right thing.
The general compliance to the use of face masks, stay-at-home order, and social or physical distancing has been low in Edo State, as government insists that it is not still considering a total lockdown. But to ensure that the rules are obeyed, government is tightening the existing measures. These gave rise to the announcement of more measures through a broadcast Sunday, including a dusk to dawn curfew beginning this Monday from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Government is also to subject anyone coming into the state to testing.
This order will be reviewed after 10 days when we have increased screening and testing of our citizens.
In the meantime, sellers of face masks are having bomber sales. Financial institutions and their ATM points are still being crowded.
They say that we should give a social distance to ourselves. We have been here no more than 5 hours. We don't know what to do. You can see the crowd. Then where is the social distance we are talking about?
In this kind of issue, people who does not have coronavirus can easily contact it.
It is the desire of government that Nigerians take precautionary measures and obey guidelines to halt the spread of the disease. In Benin, Goodluck Enaini, NTA News.
And with the increasing figures of coronavirus cases in Nigeria, a professor of mathematics with the University of Benin, Francis Osagede, suggests that more action in all fronts be taken to stop the spread. The professor, who has been analyzing the increasing figures of the pandemic, says the fight against the disease is achievable if all hands are on deck.
The increasing figures across the country is a geometrical progression. And we know that in the geometrical progression, if you don't do what is necessary, it will become an exponential increase.
He gives further details on how to attack the disease using mathematical solutions.
There is a model. You work with our health sector to see that we model the control measures. But if we abide to the rules and regulation, it will be okay. Just like when the HIV came, HIV has gone. You know, they have vaccines for it right now. So it's also, as bird flu came, it went off. The same thing with this COVID-19, it must go.
He wants all citizens to play their part to reduce the spread. Nationwide continues as we rejoin Ruth in Abuja.
Many thanks, Okochikuka. All right, let's rejoin Dr. Abba Zakari Umar, the State Commissioner for Health in Duse. We couldn't get him via Skype, so we're talking to him now live from the telephone. Dr. Umar, I'm sure you can hear me clearly. You were already giving us what the situation is in Duse right now. Can you go ahead?
Yes, thank you very much. A few days back, we sent some samples to Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, the reference laboratories in this region, and one of the samples returned positive. And this particular individual had travel history to Enugu, and when he came back, he was exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19. So currently, we have moved the individual to our isolation treatment center in Duse, and is currently receiving treatment. And aside that, also currently we are working together with NCDC, because the NCDC came over to Jigawa, and we're doing contact tracing, interviewing suspects, and then taking samples for isolating them as well as taking samples. But in terms of also, the measures that we've taken in the town that we got this outbreak, that is Kazauri, we've decided to lock down this town from 12 midnight today. And of course, the reason is to ensure that there is no spread of this virus within the town, and as well as those who have contact are actually we get those that have been in contact with the patient, as well as take the samples and take them for testing. So this is what we're doing in Jigawa, and that is the current situation.
Okay, I was even going to ask you about contact tracing, but you've already addressed that. So, but what other measures are being put in place to ensure that this virus does not spread across the state?
Yes, aside that also, we closed our borders. This is we've entered the third week. We've closed our borders with all the neighboring states, and the international borders have been closed by the federal government. And then aside that, we have limited the length of time people will stay in prayer places, and we've also instituted social distancing if people must go to prayer places. And then in terms of wedding ceremonies, we've limited them to just 7 people, the imam or the pastor together with 3 people from the bride and 3 people from the bridegroom, and they must observe social distancing, and there will not be, and there is no longer there is no longer any ceremony after the wedding. And then also we closed our market, the market day. Up here we have a culture that within a week, one day is selected, and the people from different parts of the state or different parts of the country will come and attend a particular market. So we closed that one. That one is no longer happening. And of course, we are working on palliatives to see how we can support those that require support during this very difficult trying moment.
Of course, it's difficult across the country, but what's what other measures are being put in place in terms of sensitization for the people, especially the communities? Anything in place for sensitization?
Yes, absolutely. We've been working together with the media, with the religious leaders, with the traditional institution, and we have 5 MS in Jigawa. All the MS are into it, and they have spoken on the radio, on television, to call on people, to be aware of this, how to protect themselves, and also to be cooperative, as well as religious and traditional leaders. We are also working with civil society, with the Nigerian Labour Congress, and of course with the community. And in Jigawa State, we have a network of volunteer individuals called Jakarta Lafia, that are in every village in the state. And these individuals give us information about health-related issues in their domain. So they've been very, very instrumental in giving us some intelligence report, especially about migrant workers from Jigawa State that have traveled far and wide to other parts of the country.
All right.
Where this pandemic is maturing.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Abba Umar Zakari. Thank you so much for your contribution. He's the State Commissioner. All right, you're welcome. He's the State Commissioner for Health in Duse, giving us an update of the index case recorded in Jigawa State. But let's look at other issues. The federal government has opened a condolence register in honor of the late Chief of Staff to the President, Malam Abba Kyari. Abubakar Usman Akwanga was at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, where the register is signed. Says sympathizers started trooping in to sign the condolence register early this morning.
This is the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, where President Muhammadu Buhari had earlier directed that a condolence register be opened in honor of the late Chief of Staff, Malam Abba Kyari. The exercise has officially commenced with heartfelt sympathies pouring out from prominent Nigerians.
Among the sympathizers is the primate of all Nigerian Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Henry Indukuba. They described the late Chief of Staff as a strong character, practical motivator, embodiment of wisdom, a rare administrator, and a loyal public servant. The sympathizers prayed God to admit the soul of the deceased into Al-Jannah Firdaus and grant the president and the country the fortitude to bear the loss. And as a journalist who had an encounter with the late Chief of Staff at a public function recalls how late Malam Kyari warmly waved at me when I requested for audience with him and could not help but pay my last respect.
The condolence register will be open for some time to allow Nigerian pay tribute to the late Chief of Staff. Late Malam Abba Kyari died of complications from coronavirus pandemic Friday last week at the age of 67 in Abuja. Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Thank you, Abubakar. And still on the tributes being paid to the late Abba Kyari, Abdullahi Musa Suleja compiled some of the condolences across the nation.
The special advisor on media to Governor Baguru of Kebbi State, Yahaya Sarki, in a statement described the death of late Chief of Staff Abba Kyari as a big loss to the nation. Meanwhile, Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State, while condoling President Muhammadu Buhari and immediate family of Malam Abba Kyari, lamented that the nation has lost a great patriot. Similarly, the governor and people of Anambra State also expressed sadness at the death of late Chief of Staff Abba Kyari, describing him as a friend of Anambra State, considering his contributions to the construction of a second Niger bridge and build federal road project in the state. In the same vein, the Emir of Zazzau Alhaji Shehu Idris, while condoling President Muhammadu Buhari, described the death of Malam Abba Kyari as irreparable not only to the president but to the nation and humanity at large. In another message, the former deputy governor of Old Plateau State and Etu Ejiri in Nasarawa State, His Highness Alhaji Halilu Bala Usman, commiserated with President Muhammadu Buhari, family of Malam Abba Kyari, the government and people of Borno State over the demise of what he described as a loss of a patriot. Also, the governorship candidate of All Progressive Congress APC in last general election in Enugu State, Senator Ayogo Eze, in condoling the president over the demise of former Chief of Staff, noted that the torrent of positive tribute from friends, associates, and members of diplomatic corps in Nigeria has shown that late Abba Kyari was indeed an unsung hero who discharged his duty of delivering the president's next level agenda without seeking accolades. The Muslim Media Watch Group of Nigeria said the death of Malam Abba Kyari created a vacuum too difficult to fill. Also in its condolence message, National Institute of Public Relations prayed Allah to grant the family and entire Nigerians the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss. They all prayed Allah to grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus.
And may his soul rest in peace. Let's look at other issues. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation says the leakage on Port Harcourt Refining Company pipeline has been repaired has been repaired. Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Dr. Kenny Obatero, in a statement said Port Harcourt Refining Company quickly mobilized personnel and promptly terminated the ongoing transfer of premium motor spirit from the jetty. With the support of security personnel from the Nigerian Army, Navy, Police and Civil Defense, the NNPC was able to control the surge of people scooping the spill, after which its maintenance team moved in to carry out repairs in accordance with all safety HSE protocols. The leakage, he said, occurred at a point where repair works had been carried out in the past, resulting in a spill. Obataru said pumping of products through the pipeline has since resumed. More palliatives to widows and Jos. Felicia will lead us as we join her now. Felicia?
Welcome to Jos. As part of efforts to alleviate the hardship of widows and orphans in Plateau State, the Widows Comfort Ministry has presented some items as palliative during the lockdown. Rinred Silvanus Lott reports that over 700 of them benefited.
Being the most vulnerable group in society, any assistance given to them is greatly appreciated, going by the testimonies of these women.
Very happy for a ministry like this, that they can remember the poor and the widows. We bless the name of the Lord. We are so happy and we are so grateful.
Well, some of us, we don't even have money to go to the market. Like they said, since the day before yesterday, they opened the lockup again. They said those that have money, they should go to the market and buy and eat. What of you that you don't have the money? But this way it will help us.
As a way of mitigating the lockdown that begins on Monday, the visioneer of Widows Comfort Outreach is extending a hand of love to these widows and orphans so that they can feel loved and accepted as part of society. Hand sanitizers, soaps, handkerchiefs, and some food items were distributed as Reverend Comfort demonstrated how the sanitary items are to be used.
Even when everything is okay, as long as they are vulnerable. Not to talk of now, when things are like this, the COVID-19 has come in. So we look at it and say, what's going to happen to them? Are they going to starve? So is it not better we put in such a thing like this?
600 widows and 100 orphans are benefiting from the palliatives. In Jos, Rinred Silvanus Lott, NTA News.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to impact negatively on all human activities, the Jamaatul Nasir Islam Plateau State chapter at a stakeholders meeting in Jos has deliberated on measures to be taken to combat the spread of the virus during the Ramadan period. Salau Abrahman Mohammed has details.
It is to complement the government decision that this Jamaatul Nasir Islam held key players meeting to deliberate on the safest measures to perform the usual Ramadan rituals.
The consensus here is that we'll go allow the decision earlier taken to suspend the tafsir in all our mosques here, and also the Tarawih congregational prayer which normally comes during the Ramadan in the interest of the health and well-being of Muslim Ummah and the country generally.
If somebody decides to do his own tafsir online, and people will be viewing from far away, that is okay, no problem.
The guest speaker called on the Muslim Ummah to obey the laid down rules put in place to curb the spread of the virus.
I think it's a welcome development that Muslim ulamas and opinion leaders are meeting together to marshal out a plan in order to really promote awareness on the need to follow guidelines and instruction by the government.
An 8-man committee of Islamic scholars has been set up to examine the issue and report back to the larger house on Thursday. In Jos, Salah Abdurrahman Mohammed, NTA News.
That does it from Jos. Ruth is back to you for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Felicia. About 100 returnees from Lagos and other states of the Federation to Adamawa State have been forcefully quarantined in a move to contain any possible outbreak of coronavirus in the state. Yusuf Jika reports that the state chairman of COVID-19 Containment Committee, Bashir Ahmed, gave the directive when he led members of the committee to monitor the level of compliance on the ban restricting interstate movement at the borders of Adamawa and Gombe State.
It could be recalled that Governor Ahmadu Umar Infantry of Adamawa State relaxed the lockdown order but restricted interstate movement to contain the spread of COVID-19 in the state. To ensure full compliance of the interstate movement, Chairman, State COVID-19 Containment Committee, Bashir Ahmad, was at the border community of Lafia to monitor the situation and found out that the restriction order is being violated as number of travelers have been trooping into the state. This, however, informed the committee's directive to impound all the vehicles and about 100 passengers be isolated in a facility provided for 14 days in line with the guidelines issued by Governor Infantry. Reports gathered indicates that most of the returnees are factory workers from Lagos and Ogun states. Bashir Ahmad maintained that in any eventuality of the virus, the state is ready with far-reaching measures as local government chairmen are instructed to provide a facility that will be used as quarantine center. Also collaborating police spokesperson in Adamawa State, the SP Suleiman Roje, revealed that Commissioner of Police has directed Assistant Commissioners of Police and Divisional Police Officers to ensure full implementation of the restriction order as a special task force team was formed and will be headed by Deputy Commissioner of Police. In Yola, Yusuf Jika, NTN News.
And in Uyo, as measures to checkmate the spread of coronavirus pandemic continues, the Akwa Ibom state government has fumigated the State House of Assembly complex. Let's hear from Nsika Okun.
As the spread of coronavirus pandemic increased globally, Akwa Ibom state government has started fumigating crowded places and offices. They extended this gesture to Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly complex. The fumigation exercise began from the chamber to various offices and the environs. Speaking with the agent in charge of the fumigation exercise, Prince Alaf Mohammed says the chemical is 95% potent to kill the virus instantly and will last for 30 days in the offices.
But for outside, if the rain fall, it will wash. We have to repeat it always until this virus should. But the benefit from what we are doing, if any virus right now on ground, it will die immediately.
What is being done is very important so that whenever the house resumes, we'll be confident that this coronavirus pandemic will not affect the honorable members, even the public that will come in to view the proceedings of the House.
It is a prayer of all that the challenge of COVID-19 will soon pass away. In Uyo, Nsika Okun, NTA News.
All right, let's find out what the situation is like in Port Harcourt as we join Dubabari. Dubabari.
Welcome to Port Harcourt. Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC), Dr. Chikwe Ihekwazu, has commended the River State Governor Nyesom Wike for his commitment to check the spread of coronavirus in the state. Dr. Ihekwazu gave the commendation in a meeting with Governor Wike and officials of NCDC in Government House, Port Harcourt. Ogediekwe completes the report.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control team is in the state to engage with the state public health team to consolidate on the successes achieved in the fight against COVID-19 in the country. Director General NCDC noted that the unique nature of the virus demands that all stakeholders must work in unity to contain it. He observed that the lockdown cannot continue indefinitely, such that stakeholders must begin to work towards a gradual reopening of the economy without endangering the population. The NCDC boss urged the private sector to focus more on helping the states to build capacity to respond to the virus.
The purpose of this visit is really to engage with the team, understand
their challenges, understand how we can improve our working relationship, and continue driving that close coordination.
Commissioner for Health, Rivers State, Professor Prince Chike, disclosed that the 2 cases in the state have been treated and discharged.
Our strategy has focused strongly on early detection, isolation, and treatment. This effort is supported by the risk communication, community engagement, and stockpiling and pre-positioning of commodities, amongst others.
In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwe, NTA News.
The outbreak of coronavirus pandemic has crippled socio-economic activities globally, exposing people to hardship and hunger as a result of the virus. In order to ameliorate the suffering of the people, the Akwa Ibom state government came up with palliatives for the 31 local government areas of the state. And Stika Okon has details.
This is the distribution center. As you can see, many local government areas have started lifting their foodstuff.
Foodstuff are to be distributed to some indigents who are in need of the food but cannot afford enough for their household in this difficult time. But how are the people preparing for this gesture?
We have never seen anyone coming to us, and neither have we heard of any announcement that we should come to so and so place and collect something like that.
I've not collected anything. I've never witnessed anybody that have collected.
I've not seen any. Even in my own village.
The secretary to the state government, Emmanuel Ekuwem, disclosed that a minimum of 3,000 persons are expected to benefit from every village in the state. He expressed satisfaction that the palliatives will go a long way to assist the people.
If you live in Oyo City and because of the lockdown you were unable to immediately run to your village to participate or to partake in the sharing, you will not blame anyone for that. That's number one. Number two, in things like this, you're going to have the excellent, the fantastic, the good, the bad, or whoever did that, and it was brought to our knowledge, there are sanctions for misbehavior.
In Uyo, Nsika Okon, NTA News. The nationwide continues with Ruth in Abuja. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Dibabari. And for us here, we go on a break. We're back shortly. Stay tuned.
Our country, Nigeria, needs us now more than ever. We stand a chance to save our great country, Nigeria. A chance to rise up from this pandemic stronger and better. What will be the gain if we do not learn from other countries and observe the lockdown to stop the further spread of the virus? If we loosen our guards and allow this virus doom our very existence, then what have we gained? This is the call to every Nigerian to unite as one and stop the spread of this deadly virus. Stay at home and stay safe. Remember, the virus doesn't move unless we move.
This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
In the face of the coronavirus pandemic, how best to cope community transmission? What has given rise to WHO prediction of Africa as the next epicenter? Tune in to Tuesday Live at 10:30 p.m. for answers and more. Those who should know. The program will be incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
It's time to take responsibility. So I'm staying home, watching videos and learning as well. We are all aware of the pandemic hitting the world today. The COVID-19 virus is real. A big thank you to all our health workers, doctors, nurses, everybody fighting this pandemic in their own way. Please stay home, save lives. Prevention is better than cure. Stay responsible.
A strong immune system increases the chances of victims surviving COVID-19. A corruption-free society creates opportunities for citizens to thrive and prosper. Build up your immunity. Stop corruption now. This message message is from ICPC and Nigerian Television Authority.
Over the past few seasons, Airtel Touching Lives has helped to empower and uplift thousands of Nigerians, and this season was no different.
People are really suffering.
I still have hope.
I know that God doesn't leave things halfway.
Thank you to all our viewers for inviting us into your homes and sharing in our journey as we continue to change lives.
There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thank you for staying with us. Kano State government has concluded arrangements for the distribution of foodstuffs among the vulnerable in society to reduce the effect of the week-long stay-at-home order. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje said this when he led a meeting of stakeholders to identify additional ways of containing community spread of COVID-19 in the state. Let's hear from Abdullahi Mustafa.
Stakeholders at the meeting include members of the Kano State Task Force on COVID-19 led by the Deputy Governor Nasir Yusuf Kauna, Emir of Kano Amina Ado Bayero, religious and community leaders, as well as members of the State Executive Council. It was at the instance of Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje following the increase in number of cases of the novel virus in the state, which recorded 36 in 1 week. Presentations were made on the successes recorded and challenges in the enforcement of the lockdown order, as well as progress made so far by the State Fundraising Committee. 300 households, Governor Ganduje disclosed, have been identified in the planned distribution of foodstuff to the less privileged.
So our intention is to provide palliatives on the basis of households and on the basis of electoral units. We have over 125,000 electoral units in Kano State.
He also announced plans to evacuate all Almajiris to their states of origin as part of additional measures against community spread of COVID-19. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Let's look at security issues. The Nigerian military says several key Boko Haram terrorists and ISWAP leaders have been killed and their structures destroyed in airstrikes conducted by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole at Durbada in Borno State. In a statement by the Coordinator, Directorate of Defense, Media Operations, Major General John Eneche, the operation was executed on 17th April 2020 on the heels of credible human intelligence reports, which were confirmed by a series of surveillance missions indicating that the settlement was one of the locations where some of the terrorist hierarchy often hibernates. Fighter jets dispatched by the Air Task Force scored accurate hits within the target area, which resulted in the death of some of the terrorists. Others who were seen attempting to flee the area were taken out in follow-on attacks. The Armed Forces of Nigeria says it will sustain the offensive attack against the enemies of the nation until peace is restored. And just before we go, let's have a quick check at our weather prospect for Tuesday. we're done with Nationwide today. Many thanks for your time. But do stay tuned to NTA for all the updates, latest updates on COVID-19. I'm Ruth Aguela. Bye.
Nigeria needs us now more than ever. We stand a chance to save our great country Nigeria, a chance to rise up from this pandemic stronger and better. What will be the gain if we do not learn from other countries and observe the lockdown to stop the further spread of the virus? If we loosen our guards and allow this virus doom our very existence, then what have we gained? This is the call to every Nigerian to unite as one and stop the spread of this deadly virus. Stay at home and stay safe. Remember, the virus doesn't move unless we move. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
My brother, my sister, papa, mama, and pikin. Corona, no big pass us. We go fight time, we go win. As long as we remember to always do the right thing. Wash your hands, love each other, we go win. Oh. Corona, na the virus, we dey worry human being. E no get Lego, but e dey waka from person to person. But we fit beat time, we fit stop time if we maintain good hygiene and practice social distancing. We go win. Oh.
In the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, information management is key.
I'm Cyril Stover.
Fatima Umar Buba.
Joseph Johnson.
Ian Ray John.
Muhammad Kudu Abubakar.
Jumbo Yusuf.
My name is Kirian Umayo.
Here in NTA, we're working very hard to make sure that everything we broadcast is accurate and up to date. Misinformation spreads very fast.
The social media has been a huge conveyor of misleading information from one individual to another, then to another set of groups. In a short while, it goes viral, and before you know it, it is all over the world.
There have been several misleading information on coronavirus COVID-19. Recently, the misconception of 5G as a cause of coronavirus is becoming widespread. Another is the belief that hot beverages and alcoholic drinks are internal cleanser for COVID-19, thereby leading to excessive consumption of these drinks.
The use of local concoctions as treatment for COVID-19 are yet to be scientifically proven. However, there has been several theories about the efficacies of these concoctions. We should stay safe and denounce all manner of fake news and misleading information on COVID-19.
For medical advice, go on the WHO website, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC website, or stick with the advisories from the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 or other authentic official sources. NTA is one of them.